Are you all ready for us, Madam Clerk? Great. Okay, welcome everyone. We have an early start today. We are going to adopt the council agenda. It's moved by Councillor Hunter, second by Councillor Strength. Be it resolved that the council agenda as presented on February 10th, 2026 be approved as circulated. All in favor, please vote. And that carries, thank you. And today we will be moving right into a closed session, just for the public watching. Sure, there. We'll be back at 2 for our working session. So, it is moved by Councillor Johnston, second by Councillor Jorgensen. Be it resolved that the next portion of the meeting be closed to the public in order to consider the security of the property of the municipal or local board. And please vote. Oh, sorry, at a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board. Okay, so please vote on that. And that carries. Thank you. And we'll be going into closed. Okay, welcome back to our Committee of the Whole. It is moved by Councillor Hunter, second by Councillor Strength. Be it resolved that the Committee of the Whole agenda of February 10th, 2026 be approved as circulated. All in favor? Please vote. And that carries. Thank you. Councillor, are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest in this next section? Okay, seeing none. So today we are going to have a working session discussing vacant building land bylaw. So we're looking forward to this. Manager Taylor, you're going to kick it off?
I am indeed. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Great, thank you.
The idea of today is to come forward and speak with you about the vacant building and land bylaw that we've been working on. As you may recall, we brought this to committee's attention in October and received direction to go ahead and start working on a bylaw. So internally, we've spoken as a working group, so bylaw, development services, finance, infrastructure, quite a few departments internally. And so we have talked about what we would like to see this bylaw do for us and how we'd like it to work for us. And so now this is our opportunity to come to you and ask you questions about how you see this bylaw working for you and for the community. So high level, what I'm looking to get feedback on today from all of you. One is your goals for the bylaw. How do you see this bylaw? And so this will help us decide. We've looked at a registry bylaw, but I will cover off between a regulatory and a registry bylaw. Also, how do you see the fee structure? I have some samples of what I've pulled from doing research in other communities. So we've pulled about 9 different bylaws from communities, Port Colborne, Ottawa, Oshawa, St. Catharines, Hamilton. So we've looked at a variety of sizes, a variety of situations. And so based on that, I have a proposed fee structure I can share with you. And then lastly, from the fees and fines that are received through the implementation of this bylaw, where would you like to see the money go? So those are sort of the 3 high-level things that I would like to get feedback from you today. Other than those questions, I don't necessarily have a full structure. So it's basically to have a dialogue and a discussion and to share information with you. But first and foremost, it would be, what do you see this bylaw as the goal for this bylaw? Some of the ideas that I've listed based on conversations that were had in the meetings prior to this were the idea of just developing a list of vacant properties, so that would be land and building, a way to address properties or buildings, whether we are ultimately looking at purchasing properties that are long-term vacancy, which would feed into the mechanism of how do you want to know about those opportunities, and are we looking to encourage building turnover or takeover? So high level, I would love to start with what are your goals for this bylaw? How do you see it working for you as council?
Okay, so there's the question out there. I mean, I think that those 4 points cast a pretty wide net. So, council, how do you feel about those 4 points to start? Okay, Councillor Varney.
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. Can you let me know, or let us know, how many empty buildings that you're thinking of? I know some on the Main Street, and there's one I know of down at the Bay, but I'm just wondering, how many are we talking about?
Through you, Madam Mayor. So we are looking, so geographically, first and foremost, the area we are looking at is the current CIP area. So that would be the Arch to Winewood, over to Bethune, and down to the Wharf. So, and this would address vacant land and vacant buildings. So we're probably looking at about 9 properties at this point between land and buildings that are currently truly vacant, not seasonally operated, not in the midst of demolition or construction or renovation. So we're looking at about 8 to 9.
A follow-up, Councillor Varney? You have to hit your button. Yeah.
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. So would you, or I guess this would be the part of the discussion, land versus buildings? I mean, I guess we have to make a decision as far as whether we would be charging the same amount. So that's another question, I guess, that we'd be talking about. Okay, thank you.
Okay, Councillor Johnston?
Thank you, Your Worship. Could we put those 4 points up on the screen again, please?
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. So on the goals of the bylaw, developing a list of properties, yes, I'd like to see that. And I'm not so much interested in number 3, purchasing properties. I mean, I think that's a step further down the road, and encouraging building turnover rather than takeover. So again, I want to put those items that involve us spending money to buy buildings and land and so on. So once we have the list of properties, and we spoke about this, I like the director's identification of the area that we're talking about. And we spoke about this last council meeting, I think it was, in regards to the amount of commercial buildings we have in the downtown commercial area that are, and the list is growing. So, you know, for a variety of reasons, I think we have to address that issue. Why are businesses moving out and leaving buildings vacant or unmaintained? So, as I said, I'm not so much concerned about purchasing or taking over. I think that's another step. But that's sort of my goal for this project. The last question there about where should the money go? I think a strategic property reserve should be set up if there isn't already one, because I think it's an ongoing problem or an ongoing issue in municipalities in Ontario. It's not just us. So I think a strategic property reserve would be the way to go, and those are just some comments, Your Worship. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to ask if we just stick to the top 4. What are the goals for this bylaw? And then we'll get to the next 2 bullet points as we go down. So, Councillor, are there any more? Oh, Councillor Jorgensen?
The other J. Thank you, Your Worship, through you. Yeah, I think we've got to be clear on, to me, there's a big difference between a vacant lot and a vacant building. Obviously, a lot more involved with taking a vacant lot and turning it into something at this point. And I think I mean, there's a difference too between, residential and what I would consider, traditional commercial space, that kind of thing. Again, I don't think that we're looking at, doing the Toronto thing and taxing people who have a vacant unit for 6 months. I don't think that's a huge undertaking just to track that kind of stuff. But at the same time, I think we have to be careful that we're not, centering out, specific sites or buildings when there are several others that are underused as well, something like that. So I think we've got to be very clear on what we are trying to achieve, through this. I think, what is the goal? Because there's no point taking a vacant lot on the main street and building a building that's going to be a vacant building. So, I think whenever I look at this, I'm always wondering, do we know why they're vacant? Have we talked to people? Why are they vacant? Why is the building vacant? Why is the lot not being built upon? Do we have those answers? Because to me, that's the starting point. And that's a discussion with all the owners. So I guess, can we address that?
Okay, so I'm going to go to Manager Taylor. I do have a list here, so I'm following, but Manager Taylor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. So yes, generally speaking, when a building is vacant, we do follow up as to why either the business is closing, to those reasons if the building owner and business owner are separate, and then we do follow up with the building owners to find out. Some are definitely future investments, so it's somebody's retirement plan or it's somebody's investment. They purchased it when they were able to and they're looking to do development, but it's not on their 5-year horizon. Some it is simply due to family status or housing requirements where the house has been sold or family is ill and they've moved out of the community to support them. Some are changes in ownerships where the vacant land, when I think of the wharf, some footprints have been sold a few times. And so even though it has been vacant for, let's say, 5 years, it might be 3 separate owners. So we generally try to find out why the land is vacant or why the building is vacant. Is it something we can help mitigate, or is it something beyond our control? So for example, if someone's holding on to a building for an investment, their motivation may be quite different than somebody who is looking to renovate and sell or upgrade or expand. Part of this, just for a point of clarity, in the sort of research and drafting that we've done, it would apply to all non-residentially zoned buildings. So we aren't looking at houses, per the councillor's comment. We are looking at commercially zoned properties only within that CIP area.
Councillor Morphy?
Thank you, Your Worship, through you. You're looking for goals because of the current situation. So I just jotted down a few things as I was looking at your questions. And one of my goals would be to have a doors open approach to our commercial area, meaning we can't have businesses that have a call for an appointment sign on their door sort of thing. The second one, contrary to Councillor Johnston, is I think the town should be given first right of refusal for purchasing when a sale or managing or re-renting or when a building does go up for sale. I would like to see that when it's vacant. And I would like a business plan to have to be given to the town when purchasing, when somebody makes it, so we know what's going in. Is it going to be retail? Is it going to be another accountant? Is it going to be a nail spa? I mean, so we have an idea of what's going in our core before that just happens and all of a sudden somebody's bought something and we don't know what's going. Sorry for the hands. So those are my three initial, is just to have us more involved and more aware of our commercial core when they change hands and the ones that are sitting currently vacant. Thank you.
I'm going to go over to Director Halford.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. A couple councillors have mentioned goals and that specific ideas about where they want to go with this. And I just want to be clear about the intent of a registry or a regulatory vacant building or land bylaw. So if we were going to do a registry bylaw, it would be very similar to short-term rentals. The bylaw we currently have, you just register that you are a short-term rental. Amy has an excellent slide here, Manager Taylor. So registry, all it would be is that your building is vacant, you register with us. The point of that being, we now have contact information, we're making sure that you're making the property safe. There's a financial onus on you to pay us the registration fee, and there will be an annual fee for that, and Amy will go into this more in detail as we move through this, but the point of it being it's the least invasive, but it's dipping a toe into the notion of attempting to address the vacant buildings in the downtown and in the Warsaw, in the CIP area, we'll say. What it is not doing, it's not an opportunity for figuring out why the buildings aren't rented, how can we get different businesses. This is not a cure-all. This is one tool in a whole tool belt of solutions, one of which being BIA renewal, which we're hoping that we'll be able to address in the coming months. But this is related specifically to council's concern regarding the vacant buildings and what are the tools that we have available for that, or land. So that's another, to another councillor's point, that's another decision point as well. Would you like it to apply just to buildings or land as well? Because I think there are properties in our downtown that we've wanted to see redeveloped and they're still sitting vacant, right? So those are the key points that we want in this working session to work through with you so that we can bring forward a bylaw that hopefully addresses what it is that each and every one of you is looking to get out of it at the end of it. So I just wanted to, and this is a good slide here, Manager Taylor's put it up, the difference between a registry versus a regulatory. And based on what we heard during the discussion, discussion late last year, it sounded like there was what you were looking for was a registry, but if there's a more of a regulatory approach, we can look at that, but we've gone down this registry approach because we felt that that addressed what you were looking for. Manager Taylor, did I? Yeah, okay.
Well, I was just going to say, I think there's a room to have a bit of both. I mean, it's fine to have the registry, but if the people, their property is just on a list, but there's no consequence to being on the list, I don't really see, too much deterrent to that. So, and I don't think that you and I agree that it shouldn't be about land, because I think the land, those holes in the downtown, one for almost 2 decades now, I think those are big, big gaps in our community. And I think to see those pieces of property developed would be really inspiring to others to, hey, this is a great place to invest. So I wouldn't want to see it just unique to the buildings. Manager Taylor?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. I can add in the draft version that I've been looking at, we do, and as this slide notes as the secondary outcome of registry, we are looking at some high-level standards. So it's fair to say you've already seen our clean and clear and our property standards bylaw, which addresses things like, good repair, safe access, health and safety, building code, fire code, that kind of thing. In this, we would say once you're registered and you have a vacant building, certain things must be maintained. So you must have suitable window coverings, and it would be spelled out. You must make sure that the facade of the building has, for example, no more than 25% paint flaking, peeling, masonry falling apart. So there'd be some high-level understanding from the building owner that vacancy is fine. People have plans, it happens, but that derelict vacancy or absent vacancy is not applicable. We would then throw back to other existing bylaws to address things like property standards. So if there was refuse or if there were derelict vehicles or something to that effect. So there are high-level standards in most of those registry bylaws, but what is not there is the mandatory inspection and enforcement piece. So it's complaint-based or visual inspection by staff, but it's not every 2 weeks we're going out and saying this is inappropriate. So it's a combination of the two. It's not forced compliance, but it is a registry of items that you must sign off on. And in the fee structure, which I can share at any point, potentially the idea is there's a fine per infraction. So just because your building is vacant doesn't mean it can fall into disrepair. And while the property standards and Clean and Clear Acts address sort of the health and safety, this would talk higher level beautification. So that is a combination, to your point, of the two, but not implicitly compliance.
Okay. So, Mr. Lucas?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I noticed there wasn't any people that are green on your screen there, so I thought I'd fill a bit more time here and just say that even if these are about approaches, even if it is a registry, it's a bylaw. The standards that Manager Taylor just referred to all would be in this. It would be an enforceable document in the form of a bylaw. I just didn't want it to be lost that it will be, just because it's a registry approach doesn't mean that it's not an enforceable bylaw.
Okay, so I'm going to ask Madam Clerk to put the goals back up there, just so we can go to the next step. Okay, so I do see your hand, Councillor Jorgensen. I'll go back. So what are your goals for this bylaw? I mean, I think the goal is to essentially improve the look and feel of downtown. So it seems I would like that listed somewhere. I mean, maybe it will be in the preamble of the bylaw, and I know we're just giving our feedback today, but I think that that is a goal, is that, to contribute to the vibrancy of our downtown. So I think that that would be one of the goals. But that's just my opinion. So I am going to go to Counselor Jorgensen, but I want everyone to sort of agree if we can move on from the goals section here. Okay, so Counselor Jorgensen?
Sorry, did you want to move on from the goals section? or-
No, I was saying you can have a crack at it
I
and
want to
then,
have another crack at it,
yeah,
first of all.
go ahead.
So I think I understand that developing the list of properties, part of the concern is we don't know who these owners are, or we don't have conversations with them, so we're trying to perhaps make that happen more. I would really say in the ideal world, if the town had a wonderful fund to do this, that the purchasing properties approach to me would be the best thing we could do from a standpoint of, you know, get this property, develop a concept for it, make sure we got all the zoning and, you know, and a overall, you know, design concept, something that then you could pass on to a developer because they spend so much of their, you know, their time working on the assembling property and getting those concepts ready. That, I think, would be very appealing to developers, you know, get it shovel-ready is the you know, the term we hear all the time. So I think there's a lot, I wouldn't dismiss that outright if, as, to me, I think that would be a great goal. I don't know you need a bylaw to do that as much as, you know, just the wherewithal of the town to do something like that. In terms of encouraging building turnover or takeover, like I'm trying to picture how that would work from a, let's say we wanted from a, you know, we're going to force you to either sell the building or do something with it. Well, I don't think we can force anybody to, build on vacant land. You can't force them. I don't know what mechanism we would have. You can, you know, yeah, fine them, but, you know, they just work that into their own business model of sitting on the property. And, you know, selling it to somebody else who's just going to sit on it as well doesn't really accomplish much. So, again, I guess maybe the question is what, you know, from a legal point of view, what tools does a municipality have to force the hand of anyone? You know, and do we want to do that? Do we want to say you have to do this? That's a bit of a slippery slope, I think. But
I think that's why it says encouraging. I think, I mean, that would be my guess. I'm going to go over to Councillor Murphy. You turned your light off? Did you? Okay. That would be my guess, is encouraging means, you know, we know John Smith is looking to have a grocery store, and we know of Bob who has a building. So by encouraging, you mean like match these people up. Say, hey, what are you going to do with this building? Like, is that what we're talking about when you say encouraging?
Through you, Madam Mayor. So to Councillor Jorgensen's question, essentially we arrived at this position because we've been practicing incentives. And so we've been doing the carrot method for a fair amount of time. And even including the concierge of matching people to buildings and business models. And so I think the thought process was for those owners that are just adamant that they don't want to put a tenant in for whatever reason, that's their personal choice, creating a structure that essentially they either have to put significant dollars into having a vacant building, or they start looking for other options to move the building, fill the building. Some of the ideas we've talked about have been, it could be seasonal leases, it could be pop-ups, it could be community space. So it's not that they must immediately fill the building with full tenants everywhere, even though that would be ideal. The idea is bring the building into an attractive space, help create the atmosphere of open doors and welcoming people to town, and then where possible, partner them. The reality is the only truly forceful way that we could do building takeover is if we looked at expropriation, which of course is timely. It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of money. Not that it's outside of the realm of possibility, but that's going from carrot to very large stick without sort of giving that middle ground. So I think part of the goal of this is bring the people that are truly looking for a business into compliance. Part of the bylaw would speak to who's the owner. We would keep note of, are there any outstanding permits? Are there any outstanding issues? Things like that on the property file. So for those who are on the fence, I think this kind of bylaw would move them into some more momentum of development. For those that have no desire to develop, then you as council, we would bring a staff report back. And when I go into the fee structure, I can show you. But the idea being, you would tell us what the time limit is. So if you say 2 years is the acceptable timeline, then when a building has been vacant for 2 years, we would bring a report forward saying this building is now at the 2-year mark. What would you like us to do? Here are the options. Or here's a list of what we've tried to do to activate that building. The reality is, that truly is the only way to force somebody. We don't have a business licensing bylaw at this point. It's another item in a tool belt we could look at. But I think really the issue is there's 2 or 3 buildings that are complete eyesores with absolute vacant landlords that are the issue. The others, by and large, I think there's interest. We see inquiries about them. It's just moving them more towards actual implementation of development. So to that point, if you want, I can go to the fine structure.
Yes, please.
Okay. So again, high level, nothing written in stone, just fodder for the mill. So it's fair to say in doing research across multiple communities, there is no standard mechanism for fines. We have seen registry fees of $2,300, $2,500, $3,700. We've seen them as low as $195. So in this scenario here, which feedback is welcome on, the idea is it would be $500 per vacant unit in a building. So if you had a building with 3 units and 1 was occupied, you would pay us for 2 vacant units. And or you would pay for 1 vacant land parcel. If you renewed in year 2, the price, the registry fee would double because you're now into your 2nd year of having a vacant building or land. In year 2, obviously you see the pattern, it doubles. And then by year 3, you're at the point where just arbitrarily I chose 3 years, we can modify this, but the idea being that a report comes to council saying, okay, it's been 3 years, here's the list of what we've done. Theoretically, in that timeline, we would be presenting status reports on how we're trying to match the building with tenants or the land with owners. And then at that point, it comes to you to say, what would you like to do next? And that would be your opportunity to exercise. Are you at a point where you would like to purchase, take over? Is there a different mechanism that's come into play? How would you like to handle that building at that point? If, carrying on down the chart, if they did not register, then the idea is we would go to the owners. So let's say the bylaw is enacted March 1st, and we say it's 90 days. So June 1st, we would be going out to the business owners and building owners and saying, you didn't register, your penalty is now $750 to register. So the encouragement is, we reach out to you, we offer you to register, which basically pay a fee, fill in the paperwork. If you don't, obviously the offense is worth more than if you had registered in the first place. And then again, if the building continues to be unregistered, the 3 tiers of penalties go up higher. At the final, at the failure to register final offense, it could then be handed off to the court system. Charges could be laid, fines could be applied to the actual property file. Again, reasonably aggressive, but that's why we're sort of getting the flavor of what do you feel. And then the last line on the chart there would be if there's infractions. So per window coverings, facades, masonry, whatever we specify in that high-level standard, each infraction would be subject to a $500 penalty. So in theory, building is vacant, looks great, 6 months later, something happens and it's beyond our control. It's not that the owner has been ill or anything. We could go in and say it's $500 for your window coverings, it's $500 for your facade, it's $500 for your masonry, and add those penalties. So it is somewhat encouraging by monetary, by hitting them in the pocketbook. But the idea is we have tried giving away money and it has not worked. So high level, this is where this is at. Numbers can change, but this is reasonable to other communities of our size.
Okay, so I have a list here. I'm going to go to Councillor Hunter.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you, can you actually put that back up on the screen? Thank you. Okay, when I look at this, I think some of these people are MIA, and so then we find them and they don't pay, find them and they don't pay, find them and they don't pay. Then charges laid and they go to court, but we can't find them and they're not here. So what happens then if they're just this person at large? Then what?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Hunter. So technically, at that point, we have the ability to put it on their property file, which then would make them subject to a tax sale. Or we have the business case, if we felt we wanted to expropriate the property, you have that business case to take it. By and large, most of the communities we've reached out to, by the end of year 2, they're seeing movement because it's starting to become cost prohibitive, especially taking the unit costing approach. So I mean, that's every single unit that's empty. So, but in theory, those would be your 2 first options in that scenario.
Great, thank you.
Councillor Varney?
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. Okay, my question, I'm being a bit of the devil's advocate here. So the person is registered, and he's got 3 apartments, and 2 aren't rented, but they're for rent. He can't find someone to rent it. Is he going to be charged for having 2 empty apartments? Maybe his rent's too high. Maybe, and he's not going to lower it. Is he going to be charged for those 2 apartments?
I think it's just commercial. It's not residential. So
Okay, so maybe, then let's say it is commercial, then maybe he's registered, and maybe his rental for his shop is too high. But he's got it open for rent. He wants to rent it. I mean, we have people who aren't letting people rent. We know that on the main street. But what if this person wants to rent, but his rent is too high? Does he get penalized?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Varney. Theoretically, yes. So we have situations and scenarios already where there are vacant commercial units available. We have handed off numerous qualified, financially stable tenants who want to lease the building, and the owner has said, no, they're not interested. That's not the right tenant for me. And so the reality is, if they choose to continue to leave the building vacant despite our attempts, then yes, they would have to pay for having a vacant building.
Councillor Morphy?
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you, I think the time frame is a little long for me, for every building to be able to sit vacant for 3 years. And at a cost of $9,500, when I'm using this as a business tax loss, I'm writing it off anyway. So it's not costing me any money. So I think the rates could go up and the time frame could be shortened, my opinion. Okay, thanks.
Okay. I don't disagree with that. I think 3, I mean, considering some of these spaces have been empty for 3 and 4 years already, so I agree with that. I don't know what that looks like, but we're just providing input today. So I'll go over to Councillor Johnston.
Thank you, Your Worship, through you. I like this scheme. I like the how it's put together. I think the key to success of it, as is often the case with other issues that local governments go into, is the dialogue we have with owners out there beforehand. And I'm sure that manager, I don't know whether I should apologize that I promoted you before.
Unacceptable.
I'm sure that Manager Taylor is going to do this, but I think having a good public engagement with these owners beforehand and explain why we're doing this will mitigate some of the things that Councillor Varney just said. If they understand why we're doing this, I think those fees are reasonable, and that timing is reasonable. But you need to talk to the applicable owners. And explain why it is we're doing this. And I think for the most part, if you do that, they will get on board. They will. So I like the structure of this, and the time frame, and I like those amounts. Thank you, Your Worship.
I don't often disagree with you, but I don't agree. I think they would already be on board if they wanted to be on board. This is a last Hail Mary, I think, at trying to get people to invest in their community that they own property in. Councillor Strength?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, through you. I think it's a great starting point. But I'm curious, what Councillor Johnston has just commented sort of piqued a question for me. Do you have any indication that that the business owners know about today's working session, know that there's, that we're talking about bylaws and fines? Do you have sort of a feel for, I mean, I know we've talked about it endlessly here. We talked about it in October. We talked about it last month. The community is definitely talking about the CIP area. Do you have any indication that the owners of some of these properties know that this is impending?
Through you, Madam Mayor. It is fair to say some owners know. So we have spoken to property agents, planners, real estate connections, things like that, to some. I would suggest it is fair that, let's say, 15 to 20% of vacant property owners probably know it's coming. The other percentage does not. Not that it's being secretive, but so when we do CIP, for example, we do a mass mail out to everybody. So everybody knows each year, guess what, there's an opportunity for incentives if you want to do something. So we would be doing communication when this bylaw comes into play. So there would be mass communication to everybody, and there would be a grace period. So 30 days, 60 days, whatever the number sounds like. Internally, we beat around 90 days. So we would do a mass communication. We would put it out there. Obviously, we would field questions. At this point, small percentage knows, but we have brought it up at Chamber of Commerce meetings. We've brought it up through business consultations. It's being discussed among one-on-ones, new businesses coming to town when they say, why is that? What can you tell me about the building at the? And we say, well, this is where we're at. So we would institute or implement a communications plan around this if approved and move forward.
Okay, Councillor Jorgensen?
Thank you, Your Worship. I think my thinking is similar, I think, to Councillor Morphy, perhaps. I don't know. That I'm looking at it, a 3-year registry, it's actually, I think I saw $7,500 after 3 years.
Per unit.
20 per unit. Well, but if I have one big unit, I mean, that's an extra, $2,500 a year on a $800,000 building or something. I don't know if it's significant enough to move the needle at all. It's just, I think the people who want to sit on their investments, it's not going to go against that. They're thinking, oh well, just another couple $100 a month. They're obviously willing to forego thousands of dollars a month potentially in rent already. So I just don't see that it's going to have the desired effect, I guess is my. I don't know if yeah, perhaps, like I'm just saying that's too low to make an impact on someone to take action as far as I'm concerned. I guess that's my, or I really think that, the people who are sitting on properties from an investment point of view, I guess the hard part is convincing them there's a better way to make money, I guess. I don't know. Good, but I don't think that's going to incent them.
So what I'm hearing, and I agree, that it's not enough money. I mean, you got to hit them in the pocketbook. I think, and I mean, people will probably disagree that we're being unfair as well. But what I think is, I'm not shy about this. What I think is really unfair is being an anchor in a community that wants to see it thrive, and you've got a massive downtown building that you obviously don't care one iota what it looks like. So I find that really frustrating. And to the points made, I don't see the advantage. I don't see how it is an investment. If you're not willing to invest in window washing, how you can consider that an investment. So I'll go over to Councillor Varney.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor, I completely agree with what you just said. But I'm also wondering, what sort of conversation would you have with the owners of the empty land? Because it's a completely different direction. I mean, they obviously don't want to build on it, and they're hoping maybe they could entice a developer to come and build on it. But is there some way that the town can encourage them? I don't know the ins and outs of all this, but I think it's a completely different problem for those two empty parcels that are on the main street.
Through you, Madam Mayor. It is a different animal. However, and we can break out different fees. I mean, this was simply the first stab at vacant land and building. It may be that there's two separate structures and two separate timings. I think the reality is that we have inquiries for people who want to develop and want to develop on the land that exists. But at the moment, there hasn't been any reason for any of the owners to move on it. Even with inflated prices through COVID, even with interest rates that were a song, there simply wasn't enough mechanism. The thought of the registry would be, and even if we put a higher unit for vacant land, we could, subject to your input. But the idea would be after X number of time, the bigger stick would apply. What do you do next? So is it with vacant land, your 18 months, and if it's still vacant, then a higher fine applies? Is it that you then want to look at expropriation or purchase? Is it then at that point there is a different fine mechanism that kicks in? So I think there are opportunities there. I think the critical point is we have to start somewhere. And so this sort of gave us a sense of who is interested in compliance, who is interested in collaboration, and who simply is not at the table. So, I mean, the fees could be quite reasonable for the first year and a renewal, and then it gets quite aggressive or assertive or higher rating in year 3, or it could be that we have a shorter reporting period, and so we come to you at the 6-month, 18-month mark and say, this is where we are with this building. How would you like us to proceed? I do think, in fairness, we're probably looking at less numbers of people who are absent, vacant, and not interested in keeping the standards in line with what we have in our existing bylaws and through this bylaw. I don't think the majority of the vacant building owners are simply sitting on it with no desire to do anything. I think lots of people have a price in their mind that they want to get for the building post-COVID, or they realize that, yeah, it's a decent piece of property that in theory should only go up in value, although anything could happen. So we can certainly look at a different schedule for building versus land.
Councillor Hunter?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you, when talking about land, does this include the wharf as well? Okay, so I keep thinking about the main street, the vacant land on the main street, but I feel like there's a lot of empty lots at the wharf, and that I almost feel like needs a different approach because it's going to be more expensive to build down there, has to have a certain look and feel and that sort of thing. So to me, I feel like pressuring those landowners might be a little bit more difficult. I sort of was focusing more on the main street, so those are just my, comments.
Okay, so I think if I could summarize, I think that we mostly agree that we need to shorten up the timeline and increase the fines. Am I seeing heads nodding around the table? I mean, I know I don't have complete consensus, but is that the feeling I'm getting? Okay, so that's for consideration. I mean, I guess the bylaw, when it comes forward, could have a couple of options, right? Like insert A and B or whatever. So I think, great. And then should we look at the third point there that we were going to decide on? Okay, and so if we get some money, hopefully everyone will comply and won't want to pay anything. Wouldn't that be nice? But where do we want the money to go? Council, I would say maybe the CIP program. I don't know, because that comes off the tax levy. But anyway, Councillor Strength?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, through you. I don't hate the idea of a new reserve, much like the MAT tax or that sort of thing that would, the funds collected would go back into the reserve, and then it would have sort of, reinvestment regulations, that it could only go towards something within the CIP or something like that. I think I like the idea of the.
Counselor Johnston?
Thank you, Your Worship. To you, just to remind everyone, I agree with you, Councillor Strang. That's what I said. I answered out of turn. I answered out of turn about that question, and I said a strategic investment. And I think that's what you're talking about. So, thank you.
Counselor Morphy?
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you, are there any costs involved in administering the program? Should we be earmarking that money for cover our own costs first before we tuck it away?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Morphy. At this point, there would be largely just administrative costs. So because we're not employing proactive enforcement or proactive inspections, some municipalities have that, and so their registries are quite higher. The idea is that largely the admin would be offset by the fees that are collected for registration, and then for non-compliance, there'd be overages that would go into the reserve. So at this point, we are reasonably comfortable with a registry bylaw, not regulatory, that it can be cost neutral and then a profit gained over time. We can use AMPs as part of the fee structure for this, and probably would. But the idea is, given the conversation that we've had with most of the business owners, we think there will be more compliance from the beginning and less enforcement, but we do know there'll be a few problem properties that will have the enforcement. But ultimately, to us, the investment makes sense to have the registry and to have that. And it's still manageable at this point. If we were talking, 40, 50, 60 properties, it would be a whole different conversation. But the thought is that we're already doing most of the work. The administrative side of it, we would just add to it so there's a paper trail and the money would offset that.
Okay, Counselor Jorgensen?
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm just trying to get a sense of, again, remind me what you said. How many units do we see this applying to based on our work, our research right now? I think I heard 8. Was that 8 properties or 8 units, or according to your?
Through you, Madam Mayor. At this point, we're looking at 8 properties. So there are 3, 4 buildings that have multiple units. By and large, we have more vacant land than we have vacant buildings. And so the bulk of those would be vacant land. And then probably, I would say 3 to 4 are vacant buildings.
Okay, I guess, sorry, and I'm trying to just figure out, so first year, $500 per, is that $6,000 a year? Kind of thing? It's not, it's just about irrelevant where the money goes, because it's so trivial, really. And then the next year, of course, it would, if they stayed on the registry, right? I mean, the compliance would be just staying on the registry. To stay on the registry, you're still vacant. So the second year would be, $12,000. I mean, we're not going to get rich off this any time soon.
Through you, Madam Mayor. Correct. We did not enter into this as a profit-making endeavor. More so thinking, let's get a comprehensive list of who's out there, who are the I don't want to say offenders, but who are the persistent vacant units. And basically to start the process. We certainly, given your direction, will look at the duration and the fees. And it may be that the threshold of tolerance is only 18 months or 18 months vacancy. And so we may come to you then and say, okay, you've got a problem, you've got a property that's been a problem, and give you options as to what can happen next. The reality is, I think from a staffing perspective, we've tried collaboration, we've tried incentives, we've tried great conversations, we've tried coffee meetings. This is something we haven't tried, and it's certainly not punitive, and it's certainly not massive dollars, but it is a start. So I'm happy to revise the fee structure and take a look and shorten it up and increase the fines. And my guess would be we would look at a fee increase across the whole board, from registry to offenses and infractions.
Okay, so I just want to touch back before I ask for one more call on questions on that. I mean, this really is a last resort. I mean, we have tried and tried and tried from a town perspective and town standpoint to encourage and to find some of these tenants find some tenants for these. So this really is a last resort of what we could possibly do to encourage that. So I just want to be clear, in case somebody out there says we're being mean, we're doing all this. There is a lot of public concern about these buildings, and really this is the next step that we can take past collaboration, because we've tried it. And later today, we're going to give away some money, 70,000 or well, we'll talk about it when we get there. But so it's not for not trying. I just really want to put that out there, that our team works really hard with the business owners and potential business owners in this community to get these spaces full. So if that's the soundbite for today, but thank you for your work so far, and hopefully we can, move forward here. So should we look at the list, or is there any more slides you wanted to go through, Manager Taylor, or any closing thoughts before we've got 8 minutes left before we go into regular session?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to the committee. No, I think you've given us some good food for thought. Obviously, writing a bylaw and creating enforcement is never easy and not necessarily the popular opinion. So it is a last resort for us. Today in the room, Ellen Selby and Jennifer Brockett have joined me, and they constantly are bombarded by inquiries and from the public and from interested business owners. So they are hearing, as well as I am, what the support level is around council to try and move this forward. So I think it's great. It's grateful. We will go away and continue working on this as a team, and probably bring you back more information before it comes for approval at council.
Okay, council, anybody else? All right, well, thank you for that information. I certainly have appreciated everybody's feedback and look forward to seeing what you bring forward. And I'll also add, though, this is a working session, so the public have an opportunity now to hear what we've just talked about. And if they're not happy with the direction, now's the time to, get back to us, say what it is, because we don't have the bylaw in place now. So I think this could be a good, good way for people to see what it is that we're talking about and provide feedback on what we've discussed here today. So with that, thank you. So I guess with that, Madam Clerk, can I just say we're going to recess? Okay. So we are going to recess until 3 o'clock, and then we'll be back. Thank you. Okay, welcome back, everyone. For the public just tuning in at 3 o'clock, that we did start our council meeting today at 1:30 with a closed session, which there'll be nothing coming out of. And then we had a very informative working session. If you've missed it, I encourage you to go back and watch it. Some exciting things happening. I will note that Councillor Robinson and Councillor Cairns have provided their regrets or sent their regrets. And I will go over to our land acknowledgement statement. Councillor Strength.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good afternoon, everybody. We would like to begin today's meeting by acknowledging the First Peoples who, for thousands of years before us, were and are still the keepers and caretakers of this land, where we now live and work, and in particular, the Chippewas of Rama, Watamohawk First Nations, and the Moon River Métis. We are dedicated to honoring Indigenous history and culture and committed to moving forward in the spirit of reconciliation and respect with all First Nation, Métis, and Inuit people. We recognize all the generations of Indigenous people and their historic connections to this place, and we are grateful for the opportunity to gather here at this time. Miigwech.
Thank you for that. So, today, we are excited to celebrate one of our own team. So, with that, I will ask Haley Lehman to come up to the podium. No, we're just, glad you're here, and we're here to celebrate you. So we get to celebrate your accomplishment of the Administrative Clerk 2. Haley has recently completed the Municipal Administration Program offered by the Association of Municipal Clerks and Treasurers of Ontario. The MAP program consists of multiple educational units that focus on providing students with knowledge and skills that are essential to working in municipal organizations. This 4-part program consisted of units on local government, administrative structure, financial management, and municipal management. Haley has successfully completed the requirements of the course, including obtains the skill to navigate through various municipal structures, understand the relationships between statutory responsibilities with other levels of government, adapt to change in the ever-evolving municipal climate, and provide enhanced research and communications for various audiences, including council, government bodies, and internal and external stakeholders. We congratulate Haley today on being committed to continued education and enhancing her personal skill set to benefit her career and the organization. We're very lucky to have you here, so thank you.
I would just like to say thank you to Mayor, Council, along with the clerk for always supporting staff and personal development through educational programs like the AMCTO. So thank you so much.
Great, thank you. I love good news stories. That's fantastic. So that brings us to the next item on our agenda, which is a consent agenda. It is moved by Councillor Johnston, second by Councillor Jorgensen. Be it resolved that the following consent agenda items be approved. The report municipal accommodation tax program updates and report automatic aid agreement with Bracebridge. Are there any questions about that, Council? Okay, so I'll call the question on those items. Please vote. And that carries. Thank you. Okay, so we are going to move over to new business, and I'll have Councillor Jorgensen read the next motion.
Thank you. Moved by Mayor Lorenz, and we need a seconder for this. Anyone? Okay. Councillor Strength. Whereas charitable community events add vibrancy to the town of Gravenhurst and support the community as a whole, and whereas many of these events require a special event permit, and whereas council and the community may benefit from a better understanding of the town's special event permitting process, inclusive of signage rules related to the town's sign bylaw. Therefore, be it resolved that administration be directed to include a detailed review of the special event and sign exemption process for event applicants as part of the annual March special event report. Your worship.
Okay, so I wanted to bring something formal because we did have a special event come here and was asking for exemptions, and I did say, you know, we want to see this not have to happen, but I think part of the problem with is that we don't all understand the process and how it works and what exactly rolls out when they ask for their special permit information. When they ask for, do their events, they get walked through, apparently, they get walked through a checklist, and any exemptions they need should be provided at that time. And so I think we would all benefit when this report is coming forward to understand exactly how that process works and what the what sort of regulations are still required by these without us changing bylaws to accommodate one-off events. Because as I say 100 times, we don't change we don't govern to one, right? We govern as a whole. And if there's an exemption available, I think we should all understand how that works a little clearer. So when I said, well, we won't have to do this again, some of us, you know, it doesn't have to be done. It just would, I think, understand for everyone, and the public can see it and they will understand how it works as well. So, Councillor Strength, well, that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else would like to speak to this? I think it's pretty self-explanatory and good way to clarify the matter. Councillor Murphy, did you want to say something?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. So this is just to recap what we're currently doing. This is not doing anything new. We're not waiving fees or changing fees. We're just summarizing how the process works.
Your worship?
Yes, because I think from my standpoint, so when the group was here, I said, well, let's see how we get around this. And then I was informed how it worked, and one of the boxes didn't get checked at the time. So there was an exemption required at the time. The exemption would have been just a checked box. And so I think we would have all benefited from that information. So the report comes forward. So I just asked, when that report comes forward, if we can just outline how the exemptions are made. So it's just a teaching moment for us all, but I can't tell staff to do it without all of your approval. So I appreciate the support. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone further on this? Okay, then I guess we can call for the vote on the resolution. And that carries. Thanks.
Okay, so thank you for that. The next item on our agenda, thanks for taking the chair. The next item on our agenda is the CAO verbal update. So I will pass it along to you, CAO Scott Lucas.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I'll, as usual, I'll certainly circulate what I'm about to go through here to council for your back pockets. Again, this is really a collaborative effort amongst the senior leadership team and others, and one of the many tools that we use to try and get the word out as to what it is we do here and why we do it, and on occasion how much it costs. So certainly not a full picture, but a summary of items that we thought might be of interest to you as council, most of which that you're well aware of, and to the community as well. Not that any of the items are less important than others, but I may skip over some of the items that council or the community may have heard about very recently. through detailed reports. Doesn't make it any less important. For instance, council in December, I believe it was, received a very comprehensive communication strategy report on what it is we do, how often we do it, and a number of other metrics. So I won't go through the details of all of that. And I'd certainly encourage council and the community to continue to revisit our budget document, which you'll recall we do treat very much as our business plan and our marching orders year over year based on what the funding capacity that council gives us. And of course, once I'm done going through a bit of a list here, members of the senior leadership team are here to help answer any questions you may have. So I'll kick things off and talk about our recruitment and training activities very, very briefly. I won't go through all of the individual positions that have been filled, but we've filled approximately 8 since the last time one of these updates was given. And furthermore, we do have a number of recruitment efforts underway with respect to the fire department is recruiting for stations 2 and 3 specifically. And we're just underway in terms of hiring a number of seasonal staff and students and an additional crossing guard. So those recruitment undertakings are on the way. Further, as it relates to the training side of things, we continue to be very much a lean-focused organization. Lots of lean training ongoing with 12 white belts since the last update. And we've also had one staff member complete a yellow belt in conjunction with the city of Barrie, who we partner on some of this training as well. Lots of, I won't go through the entire list, but suffice to say, extensive training program on standard municipal and employer-related items, in addition to more topical items such as, well, I won't go through all of them, but let's suffice to say there's a lot of them, and you'll see a detailed list. We are sort of enhancing our high school co-op program, continuing to work with the Gravenhurst High School and placing students within our workplace for shared benefit and a learning opportunity for our high school students in the community. A large number of technology enhancements are ongoing. Certainly our cemetery management software continues with programming and building. We are, as council is aware, continuing to roll out different platforms or different modules in our human resource information system, UKG, and that is really an innovative program to enhance how we do pay, recruitment, onboarding of new staff, performance management, grievances and discipline, other learnings, coaching and development, and life events. So all of these are modules contained within that UKG program that we're phasing in over time. Switching facilities to a degree, the digital dressing room assignment boards are up and running, have been installed and operational over at the Centennial Center. And furthermore, on the IT side of things, the Director of Legislative Services is leading the way on an adjustment to, or moving to a new IT provider. That was considered by council in 2025 through the IT service review that we had undertaken in collaboration with the town of Bracebridge. With that change, we are looking at hiring an IT coordinator mid-year this year. So we'll have that staff piece here at the town of Gravenhurst. In terms of programs and partnerships, we are, I'll start out with the BIA review, which has been very topical recently. The town did apply for a Rural Ontario Development Grant to the tune of $50,000. That would be 50% of a project that our economic development team will lead to revitalize and reinstitute the BIA program with different levels of support. That funding through the province isn't necessary, completely necessary for that project. Council has invested in that already. Half of the project has already been invested in through council's approval of the budget, but certainly the provincial grant would help expand the scope of that and likely the engagement side of it as well, because community engagement is often a huge component of huge financial component of these types of projects. I won't belabor the CIP and Terrence Haight grants because we're going to be discussing that shortly. On the climate change file, we've also applied for Ontario Trillium funding to hire the town's first climate change coordinator in 2026 at some point. And that person would develop a work plan based on the corporate adaptation and mitigation plans that council has considered and approved over the last couple of years. Extensive work ongoing with respect to recreational trail promotion. Lots of work on special shoulder and off-season community event facilitation. Cross-departmental work has begun to expand the winter light installations across the community, development of the Band on the Run event, and expanding tourism, shoulder season activations and events. Along the same lines, extensive work, administration is continuing to implement place-making initiatives, particularly in the downtown and Muskoka Wharf areas, including wayfinding signage, new street banners, art installations, cycle tourism infrastructure, and the list goes on. Couple of land-related items. Muskoka Regional Center, we continue to await a revised proposal through the province, who are continuing to work with Cliff Bay Development on what after the community engagement that occurred throughout 2025, adjustments to that plan. We've yet to see what that looks like, but we understand that work is on the way on that, and any ministerial zoning order documentation that may be required. But at this point, we haven't seen what those adjustments look like or heard about it. Healthcare efforts. I think we had an event last week here in these council chambers, continuing to work with the Cottage Country Family Health Team, and Rotary Club is the fundraising lead for the expansion of the facility and the second floor across the hallway here. And certainly advocating to the province to ensure that the operating funds are there at the end of the day to support the expansion of primary care that we want to see through the expansion of that program. Continue to work with the Health Human Resource Task Force to meet doctor recruitment goals in the area. A lot of great work has gone into bringing in new doctors to the region. At this point, though, it seems to be more replacing retirements than really getting a lot of headway on the patient lists. But great work over the last year and a half, I would suggest, from that task force. I'll just touch very briefly on the Ontario Northland. There's been a bit of news around that, of course, lately. Ontario Northland does intend on coming to council next month to describe what it is the shelter plans, and answer any questions the council may have with respect to the expansion of train service to this area. Of course, they do plan to install a new accessible shelter near Independent Grocer, and they'll come and explain why that is, where it is specifically, and what it is, the type of service that they're going to be bringing to the community and others. With respect to the Opera House, summer theater programming is set with 2 new shows and 2 new presenting partners, the Norm Foster Theater Festival performing The Bean, and Theater by the Bay performing Forever Plaid. Planning continues for the 125th celebration, March 12th through 14th, which is lining up to be a great celebration. Our partnership with the YMCA continues. They continue to see new members joining, in particular after the closure of Crunch Fitness in the community. The youth room usage continues to strengthen as daily average attendance numbers have doubled over the past year or so. And all other things, town recreation in terms of the types of programs, innovative programs that have come out, check out the website. But there's continued success that have been with programs like Mini Chefs, Gym Stars, Fit Kids, and Dodgeball, and lots of expanded programs along those lines. Event season is inching closer and closer. Administration is continuing to review applications for annual events, and we'll see that report in March next month. Most events are returning, with the prospects of 3 new events being the Portuguese Water Dog Championships, Dragon Boat Racing, and a chainsaw event. Those are being evaluated currently by our recreation staff and our prospective new events to the area. Administration is currently working on plans as well for working on the Mayor's Tea, Canada Day event, and planning for Cinema Under the Stars. We do plan to continue with spring and summer ice. The slots are filling up, and it continues to be a popular program, so the community can anticipate the availability of ice through the spring and summer will continue in 2026. In terms of emergency management, staff are working on the 2026 compliance, scheduling meetings, and planning the annual exercise and developing new training initiatives all around the field of emergency management. In terms of operational projects, the 2026 is of course, the end of this council term. Accordingly, there will be a review of the 2022 to 2026 subcommittee program and the procedural bylaw. Council and committee members will be invited to provide their feedback on these programs, with final recommendations to be provided to council before the end of the term to inform the next term of council. Another item that has come out of the service delivery review is a customer service strategy. So initial work has been scheduled for that, and that work will continue throughout 2026 as well, primarily being led by my office in particular. Lindsay Donaldson's going to be leading the way and coordinating a team to create that customer service strategy. Also on operational projects, the Legislative Services team will be leading a framework for an AI program, policy and guidelines that will focus on accuracy, efficiency, as well as protection of sensitive information. AI, while seemingly providing a lot of opportunities, certainly has its warts as well. We want to make sure we're best positioned to protect, to best utilize it, as well as protect the municipality from a risk standpoint. In terms of capital projects, under recreation, the marquee structure is complete and awaiting installation of the lights and a latch to hold the frame up while letters are being changed. What else do we have here? The Prisoner of War mural is being digitally recreated and will be installed in the Centennial Center once it's complete. Additionally, if possible, a smaller version of the mural will be placed at Ungerman Park. The Gravenhurst official plan review, which is scheduled to begin in 2026, the RFP for obtaining a consultant to help us with those services for the 10-year review of the town's official plan, was released at the end of February. No, that can't be right. January. And staff anticipated being in a position to award the contract to a successful firm by the end of Q1. So that work is ongoing. In terms of other projects, the Oriole Crescent drainage improvements, construction was achieved substantial completion in Q4. So we're in the warranty period there. Administration is currently reviewing the need for additional guide rail barriers in response to public queries that were received on that project. The 2026 road rehabilitation and resurfacing tender is currently under development and will be publicly tendered shortly for award in Q2. This year's focus will be on rehabilitating sections of Rockcastle, Bryden's Bay, and Kiltworthy roads between McCormick and Cyril Gill Drive. Musquash Road drainage improvements. The tender document is under development, will be publicly released in Q1. Phase 1 construction to start in Q2 to Q3. Other high-profile projects for 2026 include the North Cache Road drainage improvement. Tender documents are under development there for public release in Q2. Campbell's Road rehabilitation. Tender documents will be released in Q1. Construction to start in Q2 and end in Q3. Peninsula Road drainage improvements, tender documents to be released in Q2 as well. Fairview Drive storm sewer improvements and road rehabilitation. The project was awarded in March of 2025 to Advanced Excavating and Contracting Limited. The project was delayed due to contractors' capacity, although administration is currently in negotiations with contractors for a Q2 start. Abbey Lane drainage improvements, we're going to hear a little bit more about that later on this evening or this afternoon. The Wharf Outdoor Sports Field Recreation Hub, internal working group has been established in Q4 of 2025 and continue to work on that design project and will do so through 2026. Last but not least, the construction contract for the North Morrison Landing improvement was divided into phase 1 and 2 following the discovery of black ash in the expansion area. Black ash is a recent addition to the species at risk legislation. Suffice to say that the identification of that in the area has created a significant number of further delays, and we're continuing to work with the province on next steps there. In terms of fleet, administration is reviewing a variety of tractor with blower operations. Mr. Stacey referenced earlier the additional subdivisions coming online and the type of equipment that we need in order to service those subdivisions. This is one of those, so we're looking at a variety of options for tractor and blowers through the town's membership with the local authority services. We anticipate purchasing a new tractor unit at the end of Q1 with delivery at the end of Q3 amongst a medium-duty plow dump unit, which was tendered in Q1 of this year. In the fire area, Pumper 3 is in service. An agreement was signed to initiate a Pumper 1 replacement. New SCBAs were ordered in accordance with the budget, expected to arrive late in February. And the fire watercraft has been ordered and requires training, which has been scheduled as well. And certainly last but certainly not least, the 2026 municipal election is later this year. On October 26th, Legislative Services, collaboratively with clerks across the District of Muskoka, are focused on the administration and delivery of the election in accordance with the Municipal Elections Act. Qs 1 and 2 will focus on communications planning, setting up a platform for candidate registration, and creating the programming foundation for telephone and internet voting with the chosen election vendor. Recruitment and appointments will occur for the Muskoka-wide Compliance Audit Committee, the independent body that oversees investigations for the candidate and third-party advertisers' financial statements. With that, Madam Mayor, I will take a breath, and myself or any member of SLT are happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Ooh, that's a lot of information. Council, are there any questions for the CAO? Well, that's something. Okay, well, thank you for that. Always interesting. It's, I have a couple here. Yes, Councillor Johnston, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. This is going to seem rather odd, but it was a very good report. But the most innocuous item in there is the one I want to ask about. The Portuguese water dog thing. What's that about? And the reason I ask it, see, I can see the surprise on your face there, Your Worship. Portuguese water dog is the family dog, and it's rarely that name gets mentioned. So I just was curious as to what is that?
I think we'll go over to Sean, Director Patterson.
Thank you, Your Honor. Through you to the councillor. So it is basically a showcase for the working side of the Portuguese water dog. So they're going to be doing showcase on diving, fishing, and courier exchanges in Gull Lake. So they're anticipating roughly between 100 to 150 participants, and we're in the beginning stages of the conversations with them, and we'll see where it goes. And it'll be in the fall, so they have it scheduled for September.
Okay, Counselor Morphy?
Thank you, Your Worship, through you, to the CAO, obviously. Question, because you mentioned going through some training with Barry. Do you folks job shadow with each other at all?
Through you, Madam Mayor. No, we don't have a formal program to job shadow municipality to municipality. We certainly do a little bit of that internally, department to department. We have historically, but no formal program. The relationship with Barry is really specific to a program. They actually have in-house people who roll out lean programs, and they've been very, very helpful and to assist us, and which is great because they operate that lean program in a municipal environment, so it's a lot more relatable to the work that we do and more useful. So we're probably due to report back to council generally on our lean program as a whole, but what you got today was a bit of a snippet. But yeah, I certainly appreciate the work that the city of Barrie have offered us here.
Okay, anybody else? No, I think some exciting stuff. Great. Okay, that was just a verbal update. So that brings me to the next item, which is the Accessibility Advisory Committee 2026 Work Plan. It's moved by Councillor Varney, second by Councillor Morphy. Be it resolved that report number LEG 2026-03, Accessibility Advisory Committee 2026 Work Plan be received for information, and that the Accessibility Advisory Committee 2026 Work Plan appended to the report as attached A be approved. So I believe I'm going to go over to Councillor Varney.
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. And I hope everyone read the Accessibility Committee Work Plan and Report for 2026 on what we recommend and advocate for the town. Belonging Without Barriers is the name of the event that a group of us came up with to celebrate our event for May the 7th, 2026. This will be held at the Senior Center from 10 to 2. Refreshments will be provided. This event is aimed at promoting accessibility and providing attendees with firsthand experience of barriers and challenges faced by people living with disabilities. The planning is now underway. Accessibility is not just physical, examples, sight, hearing, or movement. It is also mental and emotional. We are planning to have professionals at our event to answer questions, help with information, and aid those who need help with their futures. This could be for a child, a parent, a grandparent, or a single parent. We want our community to become aware of what is out there and what is available. It is a very simple answer sometimes. For example, we discovered that the secretaries in the doctor's office did not know that we had a loan cupboard. And this was ascertained by one of our committee members waiting to see a doctor, overhearing a patient saying, "Where do I buy a walker?" And she was able to get up and say, "You don't have to buy a walker. We have a loan cupboard." So these are little things that will assist, hopefully, people in our town who do need help. Invitations will be going out in April, and flyers are being printed. We will have the media made aware of this event, and with invites for key speakers, we hope this will be a successful event. And of course, the mayor, council, and staff are all invited.
Great, thank you. Good work. That's a dedicated group, our Accessibility Committee. Council, are there any questions for Councillor Varney? Okay, seeing none, so I'll call the question to support the work plan. And that carries. Thank you. Okay. Building permit deposit refund request. Be it resolved that report number DV 2026-12, RE building permit deposit refund request, Goldstein, be received for information. And that was moved by Counselor Hunter, second by Counselor Strength. So we are going to Director Halford, please.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. At the request of council for a detailed review of the request for the building permit deposit refund, staff have pulled together a fulsome report for your consideration and information. And both myself and Deputy Chief Building Official Whale are here to answer any questions should you have any. The report is very detailed, and I think it pretty much speaks for itself, but we're happy to answer any questions that council may have in that regard.
Okay. Council? Counselor Hunter?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you, I don't necessarily have a question. I just, obviously, I had brought this forward last month. So I just wanted to thank staff for bringing this forward because it is always important to have the backstory. My heart goes out to Dr. Goldstein because I think he genuinely did feel confused. And so, yeah, I wanted to say that I really appreciate that we can have this information here in front of us so that we can have sort of both sides of the story. Again, I just want to say that my heart does go out to him because I do think that, I don't think he was doing it maliciously or anything. I think he just really didn't understand his timelines. So, thank you.
Counselor Johnston?
Thank you, Your Worship. My comments are somewhat redundant. I just wanted to commend staff for a very detailed report. As Councillor Hunter just said, I had some sympathy for Dr. Goldstein, but the report went into such great detail to explain the decision. That's the appropriate thing to do. To do the report and then to make it in detail so that it was clearly understood by all, certainly by me, why that decision was made. So I just wanted to commend staff, you and your team for that report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I echo those comments. I think it's important to understand the spin-off from, these deputations that come forward. Sometimes we only hear the half story. So always good to hear every bit of information before making a decision. So I will ask, are there any other questions or comments? Okay, so we were just receiving that for information, so I'll have you vote on that. Okay, that carries, thank you. Yes, I am ready. So now we've got a mouthful here. There you go. Thank you. So it is moved by Councillor Morphy, second by Councillor Varney. Be it resolved that report number DV 2026-13, RE 2026 Community Grants Committee recommendations for funding be received for information, and that the following funding contributions for the Terrence Haight Financial Assistance Program be approved. Speak of which, the Gravenhurst Loan Cupboard, $2,500. Gravenhurst Imagination Library, $2,500. Mind Aid, $3,500. YWCA, $1,800. GHS Robotics, $4,000. Muskoka Ringette, $3,000. Gravenhurst Against Poverty, $750. Literacy Society of South Muskoka, $2,750. Hospice Muskoka, $2,500. Big Brothers Big Sisters Aurelia, $5,000. And Gravenhurst Legion, $1,700. And further, that the following funding contributions for the community improvement plan be approved. Uh, 415 Bethune Drive North, 15,000. 1114 Muskoka Road South, 3,778. 101 Muskoka Road South, 14,000. 685 Muskoka Road, 14,000. 908 Bay Street, 2730. 110 Ferguson Road, 17,000. 185 Brock Street, 19,750. 1-900 Bay Street, 10,000. And 480 Muskoka Road South, number 2, 3,000. So, that's a lot of money going to really good causes. Council, open up the floor. Councillor Verney?
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. I have a couple of questions. I'm a little concerned about the $5,000 for the Big Brothers, Big Sisters in Orillia when we don't have that here in Gravenhurst. And I know they're suggesting, I watched the meeting, and I know they're saying they're going to come to Gravenhurst, but they're not here yet, and it just seems like quite a huge amount. And my second question, if I may, regarding the CIP for the 101 Muskoka Road South, Muskoka Knits and the Nook. They're two separate businesses, but are they doing a facade like together, or is that being divided 7,000 for each? Or just a question?
Okay, so I'm actually going to take the first part of the question because I used my ex officio to take part in the conversation. So around the Big Brothers Big Sisters, it was because they have a program and they want to bring it here. So the Big Brothers Big Sisters currently is not operating in Gravenhurst, and this is to support them to come back and to support kids that are in this program that don't have access to it. So that's where that conversation came from. As far as the, I believe that 101 Muskoka Road is all one building. So however the owner applied, and so however they divvy it up, I believe is, I see Manager Taylor nodding. So did you want to add anything further? Okay. Okay, anybody else have any questions? Councillor Morphy?
Thank you, Your Worship, through you. I'm on the same train with giving money to Orillia when they're not here yet. And I'd like you to know what was overlooked. The Severn Bridge Association requested just under 3,000, got nothing. The Safe Quiet Lakes got nothing. The Muskoka District Kennel Club got nothing. The Legion got nothing. The United Church got nothing. GAP asked for $6,000 and got $750, and we're sending $5,000 to Orillia. I am diametrically opposed to that. Once they're here, fine, and they're contributing. But I would consider deferring this back to committee for another go-round. Not the CIP, I'm fine with the CIP, but the Terrence Tate, if there was any appetite within this group, or if you want to pass it as is, that's the way it'll go.
Well, as the person who is representing the town at the table that day, I would say there was quite a bit of discussion on that, and we were talking about supporting kids that are here. You know, Big Brothers Big Sisters provides a big impact on the kids that it does support. And so the discussion was, I mean, we did talk about every item on the list, and this was focused on quite a bit, and it was the committee's decision to give it to them. So I would say that by overturning that, you will be going against the committee's decision. I mean, I was one of 4 people there, but I think it was unanimous, so I'm going to stand by the committee's decision. And I know how some members on that committee actually feel about their choices being overturned from last year. I had some inquiries last year, and I was told in no uncertain terms, why appoint members of the public if you're not going to listen to them? So I'm going to stick with that, so I won't support sending it back. Councillor Jorgensen?
Thank you, Your Worship. Just dealing from my perspective as having been on that committee before, I mean, the guidelines for the Terrence Haight allow outside agencies or what, to come in to Gravenhurst as long as they are performing their services in Gravenhurst. I mean, I'll look at the list there. YWCA is based in Bracebridge. Hospice Muskoka, as we know, is not necessarily based in Gravenhurst, but they all want to do work in Gravenhurst, or the committee. The guidelines would not have let the committee choose that. And I mean, I echo the mayor's comments here. I think that we ask our committees to put a lot of themselves into these decisions. It's a lot of work. I've said it before, handing out I don't know what the amount is here, the total, but $30,000 or $40,000 that Terrence Haight hands out every year is a very difficult process sometimes. And we ask these people to give us, do the footwork for us. And I'm always inclined to if we're going to err on the side of the committee who's put the work in to research this, have those conversations, and I'm prepared to accept them the way they're written.
So I did have just our CAO just lean over and say there's no deferral on the table. So in order to discuss deferring it back, I would need a seconder to support the deferral. Okay, so I don't see any. So I will go back to Councillor Morphy, not on the deferral.
Terrific, thank you. Through you. My question is for Manager Taylor. If they don't come, does the $5,000 still go to Aurelia, or do we have the ability to create a condition?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Morphy. So of the $5,000, $3,000 goes to 2 Big Brother, Big Sister matches currently in the community. So there would be $2,000 outside of those matches. When we issue the Terrence Haight funds, we do have a lengthy agreement that is signed with the conditions as to how the funds need to be spent. So it is outlined that they must be for Gravenhurst-specific matches and supporting those groups. If they don't meet the criteria, then we don't have to advance funds, or we can make them ineligible for future applications.
Okay. Is there any other comments, questions, or comments on the information? Okay, so I'll call the question. All in favor? And that carries. Thank you. Okay, so Venture Muskoka update. Report number DEV 2026-14, be resolved that report number DEV 2026-14, Venture Muskoka update, be received for information, and that administration be directed to sign the memorandum of understanding. Sorry, I'm looking for a light. Oh, there we go. Manager Taylor?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. High level, the report is pretty much speaks for itself, but just high level. We have been a member of Venture Muskoka since 2017. This latest memorandum of understanding, we are revising our collective. So it has been a lower tier municipal collective of economic development professionals since 2017. We are now adding the District of Muskoka as a member at the table. So with the creation and commitment to the Continuous Improvement Unit and the economic development position through that, we have recognized that the district is to be included in that collective. So everything else pretty much stays the same. We're just including them in that group. Financially, everything is submitted and approved through the annual budget process. And as a group, we continue to advocate regionally for initiatives, projects, and programs that affect all of us in the economic development realm. So pretty straightforward. That is just the major change, adding of the district. If there's any other questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, council, are there any questions about that? Seems pretty self-explanatory. Okay, so I'll ask you to vote on that. And that carries, thank you. Okay, so that brings us to construction practices and communications, report number INF 2026-02. So I will read that. Be it resolved that report number INF 2026-02, RE construction practices and communications, be received for information. Director Stacey.
Thank you, Your Worship. This particular report, or the origin of this report, was following, as you know, was following direction received in January about what does infrastructure do when a project comes along, and how do we inform the project? How do we inform those people that are typically impacted by construction? I will say that the report itself provides a high-level overview. Depending on the type of construction, we may go a little farther, but so what I will present to you today is really just a standard baseline, but please understand from there it goes up. So specific to a construction project, depending on the complexity, the first thing we do is we send out notifications to those impacted in the area to identify, what is the project we're doing, what things can you typically expect, who do you call if you have any questions, who are the right touch points from the consultant contractor perspective, and what are the timelines that that project will be seen to fruition. So that's step one. Often following step one, it isn't unheard of for us to get a phone call as they are invited to call us, and there may be a secondary meeting at the site to provide further clarification, walk the people through construction limits, again, go through those things in the field that they may see during the lifetime of that project. I will say during my tenure here, town's contractors, administration, and consultants typically go above and beyond these routine approaches and often create connections with those properties that may be impacted a little more than others and provide them with key information should they request it. But I'll go from there. Specific to the deputation we heard in January about 130 Abbey Lane, which was a project, a resident that was being impacted by this, the Abbey Lane drainage project. Before they received that notice that said this is the project coming, this is what to expect, and before the contractors came on site, they did reach out to the town and had some questions, which we felt it was important for actually myself and the members of the design team to meet them on site to walk them through what they could expect. And at that time, we were very clear that, and this was actually 3 months before they got the typical notice they would have received, general populace, things you can expect. And at that time, we talked about this is the limits of disruption that's going to occur. This is the type of this is the trees that are going to be removed. They're going to be blasting. There was concerns about the type of blasting. We walked them through what that would look like. So there was quite, I would say, a proactive approach to making sure that they were informed of what they could expect throughout the duration of the project. I'm not to say that construction isn't disruptive. It's depending on the type of construction we're doing. Some are more disruptive than others, but for this particular one, blasting and rock can be, you can have vibrations, you need to monitor that. And in fact, In this particular instance, we put out additional vibration monitoring equipment on their property to ensure that their house was safe and sound. And we monitored decibel levels to ensure that all work that was being done complied with the noise bylaw that the town is required to follow. Excuse me. Unfortunately, due to the discovery of some underground infrastructure that the blasting was going to occur, there was some underground infrastructure that we weren't fully aware of at the time. We thought we had a good handle on it, but as we started excavating, we discovered new things. So, and that's the challenge with working in built-up areas. So we had to transition from blasting to, I'll call it picking at rock. So we had to peck away at the rock opposed to blasting it because we had to preserve the gas main that was close to it. This slowed down production. We were still well within our noise bylaws, but at some point we had to regain the schedule back. So throughout that period where we were pecking away at the rock, we reached out to the owners of 130 Abbey Lane, and there was a connection between field staff and them, and we tried to make concessions when we were aware that they had guests observing a short-term rental on the weekends, so that no weekend work would occur, but recognizing we still need to make up this schedule so that the impact now in 2026 is that much less, and that's in essence what happened here. The short-term rental bylaw that the clerk's office manages is pretty clear in the sense that it tells you that no matter what time you take the permit out, it's still the same cost. And we feel as administration that we gave our due diligence, giving them advanced warning on what could be expected, but yet there was still an intent to move forward with a short-term rental application. So from an administrative standpoint, and in the absence of any policy, I would argue that if a fee reduction was ever to be considered, it should be supported by a council-approved policy so that we're consistent and fair in our practice across the board. We don't have that available to us right now. So if council wishes to pursue it even farther and develop a policy to that effect, I would suggest that's the next step. But in response to the deputation that occurred in January, we feel that we did everything that was reasonable to inform them. We kept them informed as much as the information we had to share, and we feel that making adjustments to refund or give waivers at this stage in the game in absence of policy kind of opens up the town to further exposure in other areas. So we wouldn't recommend to you that that's an appropriate approach just for your own protection. That being said, we do hope to return in 2026 to finish off the project. It's almost done. And the schedule that we have right now is the contractor is expecting to remobilize in May of next year with a goal of leaving the site mid-June. So that's my report. Any questions you have, I'm happy to answer.
Okay, Councillor Hunter.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you. The owners of 130 Abbey Lane, I believe it is, they brought up the concern about trees on their property and the potential for future damage to those trees. Can you just kind of walk me through how we protect trees that aren't being removed? Like I know I've seen in like older neighborhoods in Toronto, when work is being done, they sort of have an environmental person come in and put things around those trees. Is that something that we do, or like obviously I think there would be no way to know how a tree in 5 years from now, if the damage was from a storm or if it was from, blasting or whatever, but can you just let me know or let us know what we do to sort of protect those surrounding trees, the root structure?
Through you to Councillor Hunter. Every construction program, depending on how invasive it may be, typically has a tree protection plan. So we have a plan that shows where we're going to put fencing up to delineate protection of those trees. And in this case, for this particular project, all the trees that were removed were on town property. None of them were on private property. And in advance of doing that project, we had an arborist come out, assess the health of those trees, assess the nature that's living in those trees, and help guide us with timing of removal. I would say we have an obligation for the stuff in the road allowance. If it ever came into question down the road that the town was some part of some issue that caused that tree to decline on private property, then that would be the time that we would bring in a professional arborist who has those skills and expertise to guide the town on next steps. And then I would be challenged with making a decision of what's the best move forward for the town.
Councillor Johnston?
Thank you, Your Worship, through you. As I did with the last staff report, it behooves me to commend the director and your team for the report. I've been to too many council meetings over the years where staff are asked at a previous council meeting to prepare a report on how a particular process rolled out. And I've seen too often a staff report simply said that you passed a policy X, Y, Z. This is what the policy says. We follow the policy. This report here, the reason why I wanted to comment this report here, to the members of the public that are listening or watching this later, will clearly understand that when they have concerns about something that a department is doing on lands near or on their property, we do everything we can to address those concerns. You clearly demonstrated that, and I think that's an important message. That's why I wanted to speak to it. It's an important message for people in Gravenhurst to understand that this is the kind of due diligence, to use your term, Director, is followed. So I wanted to thank you for that. Thank you.
Councillor Strength?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, through you. Again, I would echo across the table a great report because it's very insightful. And I seconded the motion for Councillor Hunter because obviously it was an important one to discuss. And I feel it's very unfortunate for the people on Abbey Lane. It's very unfortunate for the town staff. I think we recognize that you went above and beyond your sort of basic construction job to try to keep in contact and communication. The only thing that gives me pause about what the folks are asking about is that I am very, very familiar with a property that's on the other side of the street, and we didn't hear from them. The only difference with the two properties are one has a short-term rental agreement and one doesn't. And I know that the house that's across the street has some of the rock that the construction company pecked away at in the basement. So they would certainly feel the repercussions of the endless, I mean, we could hear it over on Sarah Street. Anyway, I mean, it's, as I said, it's unfortunate for all the parties, but I think that I, stand with you in that they should be responsible for paying for their rental fees and hope that the 6 weeks in the spring whizzes by.
Okay. Anybody else? All right, so the motion before you is just to receive the report. No action there. So please vote. And that carries. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to take a quick break. 4:05 I have, so 4:10? Great. Are we all set, council? Okay. So welcome back. Thank you for your patience. We don't have too much left to go, actually, but here we go. Oh, I wrote on it. We are rolling right into updates from council, so we'll go over first to Councillor Johnston.
Thank you, Your Worship. I guess I'm part of the not too much left to go. I'd mentioned to the Director of Legislative Services that I'm not going to, this will be my last one. I'm not going to do it anymore. And the reason being that Muskoka Watershed Council, as I mentioned at the last update I did, are no longer doing this directly. We're now simply an advisory service. And the function has been transported to Councillor Strength's committee at district. So I just mentioned to Councillor Strength that I'm going to say this, and so any future updates that might be appropriate would come from her. So this is the last one that I will do, and I mentioned to the Director of Legislative Services that I would do maybe one or two in Q1, and that's it, and this is it. So, thank you.
Okay. Councillor Strength?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Stay tuned.
Okay, great. That brings me to Councillor Hunter for your 2026 Rural Ontario Municipal Association Conference.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I want to be brief, but I have 6 pages here, so I apologize to everybody, but there was so much information at Roma. It was a very, very fast 3 days, so I will get into it. And I wanted to give even more information, so if you have questions afterwards, I can send you all the information after. Okay, so we arrived on the 18th, the mayor and myself, hit the ground running on the 18th, arriving in the morning and jumping right into our zone meeting, which is for all of Muskoka is Zone 5. There we learned about issues that affect our catchment, like revenue barriers, changes to OMERS pensions, energy projects, and the rollout of broadband, which includes a $4 billion investment, but with trade and tariff negotiations, the goal to deliver that to all of Ontario has been delayed to 2028. The afternoon session included an opening keynote speaker, Chantal Hebert, I think that's how you say it, which most of you have seen her on CBC. She's the political what's the word I'm looking for? Commentator. So she gave her take on what's happening in politics at home and south of the border. She focused largely on tariff issues. Then we heard from the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, Honourable Rob Flack, which led into the first Ministers' Forum, where members of the audience asked questions about economic growth, housing, and infrastructure in their areas. Day 2, we started the day with a panel discussion on rural infrastructure, and then the Premier, Doug Ford, gave his speech, which you can see online, it is on YouTube, largely focused on becoming self-reliant economically so that we aren't faced with issues around tariffs. So that was a big topic of discussion, which I'm sure it was last year as well. He discussed strengthening the workforce in Ontario, adding 56,000 new jobs in Ontario, and focused on our auto workers specifically, and doing everything we can to support them and work with the federal government to do so. For the afternoon sessions, there was a bunch to choose from, so the mayor and I sort of split up, and these were the ones I attended. So I attended a communication session, which was getting accurate information to residents. This one hit close to home because we all dealt with the storms last year and how to get communication to residents quickly and effectively. There were some great examples from other municipalities that used humor in getting their message and the attention of the residents to start following them directly. So one of the examples was they put an ad out there that said, there's a Pizza Hut at Town Hall because everybody in the town wants a Pizza Hut, with a little asterisk that said, like, just kidding, but follow us for the actual story or whatever. So little jokes that would like catch people's attention online, but as a way to follow them directly for the real information. So sort of squashing some of those social media community group threads. And the second session I attended was the Hydro One Power Back On session. So again, that hit close to home for us. We learned about the importance of each role in the emergency management coordinators team that each municipality has, how important that flow of communication is, especially to municipal leaders during these events, because we know that's who the public goes to first, is they're asking us questions. So as long as we have the communication and it's clear and correct, we can get that out to the public. Things like how long the power, like people ask questions like things like how long the power will be out, where to go, for warming or cooling stations, when will the roads be cleared, all the things that we remember that we got. They encourage municipalities to host emergency workshops, which we did just recently attended one at RIDE, which was great. And that helps to strengthen personal response readiness so people feel ready for the next emergency. Lastly, they stress the importance of real-time updates on their end to municipalities so that we can make proper decisions in the moment. My third session of that day was a panel discussion on unpacking the implications of a new code of conduct, and our very own Integrity Commissioner, John Mascarin, was part of that panel. Questions included how can we deal more effectively with frivolous and vexatious complaints, and some municipalities are floating the idea of charging a fee that is refundable if the complaint is not deemed frivolous or vexatious. So this was sort of like an open, kind of discussion. Other topics of conversation included the potential of having to sign off that you have read and understood the code of conduct when putting your name in to run for office. So again, these were just, people were coming up with ideas and asking sort of the panel what they thought. Lots of discussion on Bill 9, the Municipal Accountability Act 2025, and the changes that were proposed, including a standardized province-wide code of conduct for council members, as well as a standardized approach to investigations. So that was that one. Then we ended the day with the second Ministers Forum, where members of the audience could ask questions about health, social housing, and social services. That was a very busy day. Tuesday morning, I promise I'm almost done. Tuesday morning, we heard from the leader of the Green Party, Mike Schreiner, whose message focused on shared challenges, funding for healthcare, paying for infrastructure with a small tax base, and specific needs for rural communities. Then we heard from AMO's Healthy Democracy Public Affairs campaign and how to get voters and candidates engaged in this election season coming up this fall. And lastly, our very own Mayor Lorenz took the stage, which was very exciting. She did a wonderful job in a panel discussion about access to healthcare in rural communities, where she championed our local health hub project as a model for other communities to use. So I'm sure you'll probably talk about that in your update as well. But I just wanted to take this opportunity to say you did a great job. We're all certainly proud of you. But it was really nice to see the other Muskoka municipalities there to kind of cheer you on from the crowd. So it was nice to see that we are a united front, and you did a great job. So that was my busy 3 days, and I came within 2 minutes of starting council that Tuesday. So.
Yes, and you had to deal with me driving home white knuckle. Yes, so, well, thank you for that. I will just add on to that while we're talking about it. We did have a couple successful delegations while we were there. CAO Lucas, Councillor Hunter and I met with Northlander, Ontario, which was, a good meeting. We had a meeting with the district with the MECP on road salt. So that was interesting. And then I also partook, thank you, with Huntsville and Bracebridge to talk about the health hub again and things that we're doing to support primary care. And the health minister was very receptive. Yeah, so I think I've had a few good meetings with her, so pretty optimistic that if we build it, they will come. So just to jump on that, and that's a wrap on the Roma. But I thought Roma really is, there's just so much there. It seems like it's just really, there's a lot to learn. So thanks for being open to learning. Okay, so with that, I will go over to Councillor Strength And I'll read the motion. It is moved by Counselor Strang, second by Counselor Hunter. Whereas a resident has raised concerns about bus safety along, school bus safety along Muskoka Road 169 and Pine Lake Road in the town of Gravenhurst and requested the consideration of traffic calming and public safety accommodations. And whereas Muskoka Road 169 is owned and maintained by the District of Muskoka, therefore be it resolved that Council for the Town of Gravenhurst requests the District of Muskoka perform a warrant analysis of the area for public safety measures, including but not limited to speed limit decrease, installation of flashing lights on the school bus signs, and other traffic calming measures. Councillor Strang?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Pretty straightforward. It's a matter of process to try and get the district to, see if there's some safety measures that need to be implemented for these folks that live out in the burbs, which we should all support our kids.
Okay. So, like you said, pretty self-explanatory. So, Councillor Jorgensen?
Maybe not self-explanatory. So, because your whereas speaks to, it says Muskoka Road 169 and Pine Lake Road. Now, Pine Lake Road is our jurisdiction, I guess, or were you talking about in the vicinity of?
Yeah.
Like, so it's 169. At Pine Lake Road, not and Pine Lake Road. Okay. Thank you.
Did you want to answer that? Yes. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The bus stops on 169, not on Pine Lake Road, so the issue is 169.
Okay, Councillor Morphy?
Thank you, Your Worship, through you to the councillor. Have you talked to and got the support of the OPP, the Guardians of the Road? Because they've been really active, chase cars, and there's a lot of activity around that bus stop right now. I don't know if maybe we should, anyway, have you talked to them about moving this forward?
I've been in touch with the commander, and he has, what's the word? Dispatched follow-up and visits to the area. So, yeah, I've been in touch with him on this subject, yeah. Yeah, that's why we're here, because we were told from the district standpoint, they need this to further the thing, the investigation. Okay, so. Okay, any other questions? All right, so I'll call the question on that. Great, thank you. That carries, thank you. Okay, so that brings me to my update, and I am going to be brief. We have some exciting times. It's funny, people think the winter's sleepy up here, but it certainly is not. This time of year is very busy around Gravenhurst. So we know we have Winter Carnival coming up this weekend, which is going to be a fun, packed day. And you can celebrate Valentine's Day at the same time, so 2 for 1. As we know, we have the coldest night of the year, which is coming up on February 28th. The Olympics, the Olympics have been super exciting, and I hope you're out, visiting in local businesses and sharing in fellowship while you watch some Olympics. And then we have the Gravenhurst Opera House celebration, which is not coming up till March, but I think it's going to be a really exciting time. So there is lots going on in Gravenhurst. You can volunteer, you can participate, and I think that will wrap it up for me. So, did I cover everything I said I was going to cover, I think? Yes, I did. Okay, well, that's great. So with that, I will call this meeting to motion to adjourn. Okay, Councillor Varney and Councillor Johnston. Okay, please vote. Okay, and we will roll right in to council, which we've already approved the thing. Okay, thank you. Pecuniary interest, anybody for council for this portion of the meeting? Seeing none? It is moved by Councillor Morphy, second by Councillor Varney. Be it resolved that the council minutes from January 20th, 2026 be adopted as circulated. All in favor? Please vote. That's carried, thank you. It's moved by Councillor Hunter, second by Councillor Strength. Be it resolved that the Committee of the Whole minutes from January 20th, 2026 be adopted as circulated. All in favor? And that carries. Oh, no, it doesn't quite yet. I did not. That carries, thank you. It is moved by Councillor Johnston, second by Councillor Jorgensen. Be it resolved that the following bylaws be read, passed, and engrossed into the bylaw book. Bylaw number 2026-06 for the municipal accommodations tax. Is there any discussion around that, council? Okay, I'll call the question. That's carried, thank you. It's moved by Councillor Morphy, second by Councillor Varney. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2026 to confirm the council meeting held on February 10th, 2026 be passed. Please vote. That's carried, thank you. I want to thank Madam Clerk for keeping me on track today. And thank staff and for all the good information, great discussions. And with that, I'll call for a motion to adjourn. Councillor Jorgensen and Councillor Strength, all in favor? And please vote.